Hello, fellow trade geniuses. This is Philip, and wanted to do a recap of December's performance on the FX signals. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the first signal we got in December was December 6th, and that was the USD CHF 120 strike for the 7 p.m. expiration, and 20 or better, $20 premium capture or better on that. So let's look at that trade there. Here was the 120 strike. We got into it right about in here, and nice signal. There was really no heat on that at all. And this blue line represents the expiration hour. In this case, it was 7 p.m. So that was a nice trade there. Had some resistance in this area, so I like the setup for that. And the algorithm said to go ahead and take the trade, so that worked out well. That was our first one of the month, or yeah. Okay, next trade was selling the Aussie dollar, AUD USD, 74.82 strike, 8 p.m., 18 or better. So here is the signal, and it's a two. This was a 2-hour trade, and we had a nice sell-off. As you can see here, we had like a resistance area here, and then we had a lot of room above that. So another nice setup, got a nice sell-off. We actually closed that trade early, so we got about a 15 or so premium capture on that one. Next trade, we got the USD yen. This was a 7 p.m. expiration on the 114 strike. This was for trade date 12/7. The Aussie dollar I mentioned previously was also 12/7. This was the trade we took before it. So we got the signal roughly in here, and as you can see, this level here, 114, was a little above some resistance here, which I like to see. And the signal fired roughly in here, and so as you can see, that just continued to move down. By the time we got to here at 6 p.m., there was a lot of room between where our strike was, so that trade was pretty much in the bag. A little bit of an up move in that hour, but nothing serious. So very easy trade. All right, let's look at the next signal that we have, and that is the USD CHF, the Swissy, and that was also trade date 12/7. Our algorithm called out a favorable setup, and it pretty much went sideways in this area, so that worked out well. Signal was good, and we were able to capture 24.50 on the sell side and 15 on the buy side. So there was 39.50 in total capture there. Nice trade. Okay, so the next setup is selling the Aussie yen, AUD JPY. This was 12/8 trade date. Again, this was a 7 p.m. expiration, and we were selling the 85.20. And this came up, I believe we got into it, the signal fired around here. Again, algorithm saw favorable odds on just kind of staying sideways, and that worked out really well again. And really no heat to speak of. Coming out of the dark period, we had some good distance there. Did climb in the 6 to 7 p.m. hour, but nothing crazy. That was a good trade. Next trade we have, or we did, was the pound Swissy. This one was our first loser, and we had good signal here as far as probabilities went. Kind of hugged the 160 strike that was kind of showing support. This was the hour of our expiration, and as you can see, we just missed it, just under a pip, and that one was tough, and we didn't really have a chance to get out, unfortunately, but that happens. Signal, as you can see, that level that we were shooting for was getting respected. It just dipped a little below it. So that happens, but you move on. So let's go to the next trade. Okay, so the euro pound cross. This was on trade date 12/12, and we were taking the 8400 strike. And this was also a 7 p.m. expiration. Again, we got into it roughly around in here. And what was nice about this is there was some resistance in this area here, which helps. We got to within about 5 pips or so, but the algorithm gave us favorable odds on that not getting violated, and so that worked out to our advantage. Next trade was the Euro JPY, Euro Yen cross. This was taken on 12/13, and our strike was 122.28. This was a buy on the 4 p.m. expiration, and we had kind of this bouncing action here. Signal fired around here. This was a 2-hour contract. Algorithm had very high probabilities on this not getting violated, and as you can see, it came down kind of close, but held. That level just could not be penetrated, so algorithm fired off a great signal there on that trade. Okay, so next up we have the dollar Swissy USD CHF, and this was on the trade date of 12/14. This was Fed Day. They raised the rates, and that's where this big move came up. So we actually took a 2 trades, and we bracketed this. So we sold the 220 and we bought the 180. At the time that we took the signal, the probabilities were high that the 220 strike would be good. Unfortunately, it being Fed Day, and Fed Day you can get these outlier moves. So 180 was plenty good. This was our 7 p.m. expiration here. The 220 failed, however, just by 3 pips. That was an outlier move for that hour. We also look at expected hourly ranges. So we have our algorithm gives us a probability. We're also looking at what the expected range is. We have an indicator for that, and it's looking at that particular hour of the day, so over a course of the last 30 plus days. So it's a very, very smart tool in looking at really what the expected range would be for that hour. It's not like an ATR. It's much more sophisticated than that. So I can tell you that move there, that was all about the rate raise. I think in the future, and we're probably going to see some raises, maybe 1 or 2 more this year, and that's a whole nother discussion. But I don't think we'll be shorting or taking a short position against the dollar on a day where they raise. I think everything's just gonna dollar wise, it's just gonna go up that day. So we'll stay off that side of the trade. Next up is we sold the USD JPY, and this was on trade date 12/15. Okay, the strike was 118.40, And again, this was a 7 p.m. expiration. And as you can see, our algorithm had a really nice call there. Wasn't a ton of room, but it's very good at calling out kind of where things might stall on the hourlies. And so that one worked out great. We didn't have too much heat on that going into 7 p.m. It was a pretty mellow trade. Our signal fired somewhere in here. So that was another winner. We captured 15 on that one from the tweet that was sent out. 15 or better. Okay, next trade. This was for the December 19th date. We had selling the USD Swiss, USD CHF, the 0280 strike at 7 p.m., 15 or better. As you can see here, this was our 7 p.m. strike. This was kind of nice because we had some resistance here at that level. So when I saw the probabilities come out and kind of looked at the situation, to me it had the right ingredients to signal that out. And that's another thing. There's probabilities will spit out something, it could spit out a great probability. I also like to see a little bit of some help on the chart too, as far as support and resistance. So I'm not just blindly seeing, oh, there's a great probability. I'm looking at a few other things: support, resistance, expected ranges on the hourlies. So try to get you the best setup possible. All right, so that was a winner. Next trade, Euro USD. We were buying the 0380 strike, and this was for trade the 12/20 trade date, December 20th. So as you can see here, here's the 0380. We got into it roughly somewhere in here, and been noticing a trend for Euro USD to kind of go up in the evening. That'll change, but right now that's seems to be happening more often than not. So anyway, we had the algorithms gave us a good probability on this one. As you can see, just really never was in trouble. It bounced nicely off this level here, which is what our algo was basically expecting. And anyway, so that was nice trade, and there really wasn't any heat on that, so that was a pretty easy winner. Okay, next trade we have is the pound dollar GBP USD, and this one we captured 18 premium, and we bought the 7 p.m. strike expiration on the 2340 strike. So got into it at somewheres in here, and again had that was a nice bounce off of that level. I believe we got into it after that, and just that strike was never really encroached on at that point. Again, the algorithm giving us a nice signal on that, and so that worked out really well, and that was a decent premium capture of 18. Right, the next trade we had was for trade date 12/22, and actually this was one of two swings. We had the Euro JPY, and we had Euro Pound EG. So on the Euro JPY, we sold the 123.20 level, which is here, and came up and tagged that perfectly, sold off rather quickly, so we took profit on that, and we captured 34 premium on that. If it's going to come down quickly like that, I'm going to take profit. So it ended up, you could have held it, and it ended up being fine, but I like to take profit if it drops like that quickly. So that was a nice trade. We only held it for 2-3 hours, 2 hours. So that was a great signal on the swing signal. Okay, the next trade we had, the other swing that we had on that was the EG Euro Pound cross. This signal actually fired earlier, but we didn't get filled on it till later in the day, 11 p.m. ish. We had 8,500 was a strike that we were selling. I was hoping it would have hit overnight. At 6 in the morning, it got close, no dice, but then it did finally fill fairly late in the day actually. But still, the swing signal was still valid at that point, and that ended up being a short hold too. It was the 3 p.m. expiration, and we had about 7 pips of room. Algorithm percentage wise at this point was very favorable, so I wasn't too concerned about that at that point. Ended up being a nice trade. Sometimes when we get into these swing trades, we can then switch to the algorithm to see what the probabilities are once we have some distance between our strike and where price currently is. So we monitor that as the trade develops. Okay, next trade we have was selling the GPB USD cross at 7 p.m. This was for trade date 12/22. Okay, so this was following up from those overnight trades. We had a intraday signal. So we sold a 2300 strike, and that netted us, actually we got really good premium on that. We had $30 of premium on that sell. There was a bit of mispricing from the market makers on the Nadex platform, which we were able to hop on and get. And again, this trade algorithm did wonderfully well in calling out the probabilities here. Really it was an easy trade. There was just no heat. I believe we got into it right about here, and excellent trade, no heat. So nice premium capture on that one. Okay, next trade was also dollar pound. This was the next day, 12/23, and this was on the 3 p.m. strike. So we got a signal on the 3 p.m. strike. This was 22.40 we were buying. We bounced off of that level nicely. We had basically what happened there, I think we had some more mispricing that we were able to take advantage of. So once this had bounced up, we had very favorable probabilities that this would not fail, and we had decent premium still on the ladder. So tweeted that out. That trade was probably one of the easier trades of the month. Just did not even remotely come close to looking like it was in trouble. That was a great trade for that holiday week. We actually did pretty well during the holidays. I thought we'd be hurting for setups, but we actually did pretty well considering how holiday premiums can get. Okay, so next trade, we're going to also hit the pound dollar again, and again it was at 3 p.m. This was 12/27. So next trade is GPB USD, 12/27 trade date, and we bought 22.40. Bought 22.40. Again, kind of a similar setup. It was almost like deja vu. Bounced off this level. I like the fact that we kind of had another support point back here. Probabilities came out, and it was I like that setup that day. This was a good one. And as you can see, it really, again, another no heat trade. So it was a nice setup. Algorithm gave us a great signal on that. Okay, next trade we have is USD JPY. This was our other swing trade. So this one here, swing signal set up for fading the 117.80 level. It tagged this perfectly, dropped quickly, And we basically captured on that trade, we captured 40 on that. That was a big thrust down, and I did not stayed in that trade actually. I know I said that we'll take profit, but I was what I was seeing at that point with everything that I was looking at, it didn't look like probability wise it was just not going back up. So that one I decided to not tweet out an early sell to get out, or early buy I should say, to cover. So we stayed in that one. The other swing trade that we had that same period was the Euro USD, and so these are the two that we covered in the previous video. So again, here we got out early, would have closed true. As you can see, it swung up, so signal was good. Had we gone out another farther out in expiration, could have probably changed, but we were running out of time here at the 3 p.m. so we salvaged out of that one early. But you can see where the swing signals, they were, you can see where this worked, right? But sometimes what we're trying to find the optimal time to expire, because if you go out too far and it turns, you may not get the premium capture, or it might turn against you. So this one we just ran out of time, but between the two, net profit. Okay, the next trade we had was it actually was another swing. So this was our holiday week coming up last week, so we didn't get a lot of intraday setups, so we had some swing setups instead. Buying the Euro JPY Euro Yen cross. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This was a loser, and as you can see, that level, more or less swung off that level, right? However, our expiration was 3 a.m. If I had sent that out another 12 hours to 3 p.m., would have been an easy trade. But was looking for this level to bounce I was looking for a quicker turnaround, and it just didn't happen. It kind of lingered there. So larger picture, that was the right level, but just ran out of time on that trade. Actually started turning up here, and I thought we'd probably be in the clear, or at least be able to manage, but then this hour just went down quick and really couldn't get out. So unfortunately, that was a loser. So next trade and final trade of the month and the year for FX binaries. I know I've said before, I don't usually look for trades on Friday, but given that we didn't have a lot of trades set up on the week, and the swing trade that we took was a loser, kind of didn't want to go out on that note. So we had a nice signal set up for the pound dollar. It was buying the 2300 strike, and that was for the 3 p.m. expiration, which on Friday is the last expiration of the day on Nadex. So we had plenty of room. We had a nice probability signal fire off from the algorithm, and it was a good trade. There really wasn't much heat at all on that, and we had pretty good premium on that one. I think we captured 15 premium on that. So easy trade, nice trade to end the week on. So that is the month's activity. I wanted to go over that with you guys because this is the first month we introduced the service. So I thought maybe we'd do a recap. You can kind of get familiar with the setups and how the charts look relative to what's being called out. So I hope that helps. Okay, so with all that being said, let's talk about where the rubber meets the road, and that's how much we netted in the month per contract. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so our hourly signals, those are not the swing trade signals, but our hourly signals went 17 and 2, 17 wins and 2 losses. That netted us $148.50 per contract. On our swing signals, we had 3 wins and 2 losses, and that netted us $52.50 per contract. So as you can see, and I've mentioned this before, you can do three wins, 2 losses on the swing signals because we're capturing higher premium. We're able to have a lower percentage win rate and still have a nice net positive result. On the hourly signals, we have to have a very high win rate on the deeper in the money because we're only capturing anywhere from 15 to 20 on average. Sometimes we do a little better than that, but that requires a higher win rate. So all in all, we did, between the swings and the hourlies, we did $201 net per contract. So that's a decent month. And it was, I think for December, that was great because we have to deal with lower premium, holiday premium, and the markets are quieter. So when the markets don't move, we don't get as many setups. So now we're heading into 2017. I'm excited because typically in these early months, January through April, May, we get, it's good for binaries. VIX usually is elevated. Last year was a very good time period for the signal, for the system. So I'm looking forward to that. As you know, as VIX rises, that's going to give us better premium. Option premiums are based off of volatility. So the higher the volatility, the better premiums we'll get, better setups we'll get, and looking forward to that. So also looking forward to introducing the more advanced binary service, and we'll get into more details on that later. But essentially, if you're a more experienced trader, what we're going to be doing is giving you opportunities to get a higher premium capture several times during the day. If you're new, but stick with the hourly signals that we just went over. But if you're more advanced and you want more setups, because that's been requested, and that's what we're going to do. We'll just get you more at the money type entries, and then you can manage that trade as you wish. You could either try to scalp, or if the trade really starts moving in your favor, you could hang in there, or you could sell. You know, most guys in that category are doing multi-lot, so you could get half off. If it starts going in your favor by $15 or so, you could take half off. So there's multiple ways to skin the cat when it comes to managing those types of setups. These setups will be, probabilities will be a little bit lower on them, being that they're at the money, and so we'll be sending out more signals as opposed to like the hourly signals. You're looking at maybe one a day to get filled. Anyway, we'll get into more details on that later, but look forward to releasing that service soon, maybe toward the end of the month. In any case, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, shoot us an email or talk to us in the room. But look forward to another positive month in January. We'll be keeping an eye on the premiums, and hopefully we'll see an improvement on them as volatility increases, which I believe we will see. Okay, guys, thanks again for subscribing. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and we'll be doing more of these videos. I'll cover, probably the next video I'll cover the dark period and what that is when it comes to Nadex. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Happy trading.